Hi everyone.
Welcome to the Rustic Garden. Today Kim and I are going to talk about taking care of your cucumbers early summer and how do you deal with insects and feeding them. And I'm going to go over kind of the routine that I do, and you can give us, what you do in your garden.
Great.
So we're going to start with taking a look at the cucumbers. These have been growing for a while. They're starting to flower. Cucumbers are starting to form. They haven't been picked yet, and this is the time that I like to give them a water-soluble fertilizer. And again, the water-soluble fertilizer is going to be taken up immediately through the leaves, and it's going to be taken up by the root system. Now, I've already fed these yesterday, so I don't want to do it again, but I want to talk to you about what I did do. And I know you use the fish fertilizer.
The fish fertilizer, the worm tea, usually used on a regular basis.
Yeah, from Vermistera.
And I love the Good Dirt plant food as well.
And this is an organic fertilizer from Miracle Grow, and it has an 11-3-8 NP&K. And you're looking for something with your cucumbers, with your melons, even with your zucchini and squash, that has a higher number in here for the NP&K. A lot of times I say use a 5-5-5, but the 11-3-8 is really good. The fish fertilizer is a 5-1-1, and the Vermistera castings is really a 0.1, 0.1, and a 0.4. But this brings a lot of other benefits, which is the microbiology.
That's right. I mean, I really feel like this really keeps your plants healthy. It gives them all that good bacteria, so it helps keep some of the diseases away.
Yep.
And I love to use it as a foliar spray as well.
Yeah, and I like there's growth hormones in here too, which is, Vermistera I always say is nature's end product, because it comes from the worms. And I use this, you can mix it actually in with fish fertilizer, you can mix it in with whatever organic you want to use. Now, I don't want you to be stuck with just using the products that I showed you. The products aren't as important as sticking to a routine.
That's right.
The video you're watching with Kim was shot during the first week of July. It's now the first week of August. These are the cucumber plants that are in that video. I thought it'd be great to show you the growth 30 days later. The plants are doing extremely well. You can see the cucumbers are coming in. I've actually harvested, I don't know if you can see one straight back there, harvested at least 25 4 to 6 inch cucumbers out of here. These are the pickling cucumbers, and the plant is just doing really well. More cucumbers down there. So these tips and techniques do work. They're effective. Really just stay up on your routine and your cucumber plant should do really well. I even have them trellising up this space here. This is the third wave of cucumbers that you're going to see through the video, and they're taking off now. I recommend every 10 to 14 days with a water-soluble fertilizer, but when the plants get to this size and about ready to produce, I'd like to give them an organic fertilizer. I like to give them the fish emulsion. This is great for the soil biology too, and I like to do the worm casting tea. And just follow the instructions per gallon of water. Water in the leaves, water in the plant, a couple of seconds of water in the root system, a couple of seconds on the root system, and they're good to go.
Now, Gary, I know a lot of people always ask me, what about the leaves getting wet? We always talk about the powdery mildew, and you probably have more of an issue with that than I do. But why is that not an issue here when you're doing the foliar feeding?
It's kind of a myth, because we were actually waiting to come out here because it's been raining. It's been raining every day, a good hour or so. We're getting the Maryland storms. Leaves get wet all the time, so you can't really damage your plant by wetting them. But and when it rains, it's cloudy, so they're protected from what? The sun.
Right, right.
So you just don't really want to water the leaves midday when there's full sun, because it could cause some damage. So water in the morning, feed in the morning, water in the later evening. If it's cloudy, don't worry about it.
That's right.
But that works the best.
Perfect.
All right, so I don't know, we could do, well, let's just talk about insects. This is BT. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but that's a leaf.
I actually haven't used this too much, so if you want to go ahead and talk about that.
Sure. Well, it's just, I know you use neem oil, and it's an alternative to neem oil. You can use BT or neem oil, and you, again, want to stick to a routine. It doesn't matter which product you use, but this will go on the leaves. You want to go on top of the leaves. Chewing insects will come in, chew your leaf, ingest the BT or ingest the neem oil, and I use both. And don't ask me why, I just interchange them. Again, because it doesn't matter so much the product, but every 14 days, every 10 days, you just want to stick to a routine with your sprays.
And that's organic too, the BT.
This is organic, definitely organic. This is a dust, and the spray, I mean, let me just show people, but depending on the size of your crops, you can buy this in a concentrate, and you can do a 1 gallon sprayer. Just don't want to spray you.
I'll move back.
Yeah, but you just coat the leaves pretty well. You don't really have to get the undersides. If the chewing insects are going to come, they're going to eat the underside to the top, or they're going to eat the top to the underside. And you would just soak it down. You want to try and check the weather. Do this when you're going to get 3 days of no rain. You just don't want it to get washed off.
And I know a lot of people too are really concerned about the bees, but really this is for the chewing and sucking insects that chew the leaves.
Right.
And the bees aren't going to be chewing the leaves, so it's really not something that you have to worry about for the bees.
And if you want, you can wait late in the evening when the bees go away. This will dry. And if it's dry, there's no way the bees are going to get it into their system.
One of the questions I probably get asked the most is what to do about squash vine borers. And I know you use dust a lot for that, so why don't you explain what we do with it?
Okay, so this is Captain Jack's dead bug garden dust. And the first thing that we talked about before in other videos is that dust, if it's organic or chemical, doesn't matter what it is, you don't want to ingest it, and it will kill every insect out there just about. Not everything, but it will kill the bees, and that's what people worry about. So you have to use it wisely, and I recommend using it late at night when the good bugs go to sleep, so to speak. Come out in the morning, wash it off, and I'll explain why you do that in a second. For the vine borers and for the crawling insects, they're going to come right through here. Vine borers usually lay the eggs. The butterfly lays eggs, and the vine borer works its way down here. So we're going to put the dust down there. And I know we were talking about what you do with the flowers.
So we just pick these flowers off then?
Yeah.
This is great. I'm learning a whole new thing here with the dust.
Yeah. So keep the flowers away from where you're putting the dust, and that might come out first since you don't have to use it a lot in California. But just sprinkle it until it starts coming out, and get all the way up. All the way up the stem. You can put a lot on there.
Okay.
And when you use dust like 7, or you use Captain Jack's dead bust.
Is that enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can never say it. Dead bug dust.
Dead bug dust.
It's not 100% dead bug dust. It's a lot of filler too. So it's not all poison on there.
Okay.
So that's all you would do. Maybe go up a little bit further, but you cover this up. You can leave this here. You don't need to wash that off. But when you're washing off the leaves, it can be a problem. So just replace it. And that will take care of the vine borers. The other thing is for the cucumber beetles, in this case, since we're doing cucumbers, rather than dust like right in here where you see all the flowers, that's where the bees are going to go. You dust the outside leaves.
Oh, okay.
And let's see, you can do the one up here. Let's look around. One right over here, if we can get that. And maybe you do, I don't know, 3 to 5 leaves throughout your different plants. And the reason you do that, put it on again in the evening if I wasn't clear, the cucumber beetles will run all over the place. They're going to run through the dust, they're going to die, and come out early in the morning, and you wash it off. Okay. You can't guarantee you're not going to harm bees, but you can greatly reduce the damage that you do.
So as long as you're sticking to that routine and making sure it gets washed off, the likelihood of any of the good bugs being affected, or the bees during the day, is going to be way reduced.
It's decreased greatly.
Okay, great.
And then the other thing, and I know you have trouble, you do get spider mites.
Yes, we do, a ton of them.
So this is a 1-gallon sprayer mixed with a teaspoon of peppermint oil and enough soap so that when you shake it up, the oil gets dispersed here for about 20 seconds. So every 20 seconds you want to shake it up. And again, this is all about routine. So this is how I take care of the spider mites. They're really resistant to insecticides and stuff like that. So you just get in, and it's going to smell really good. We're spraying the peppermint oil all on the undersides. Now, you wouldn't want to put down, we kind of did it out of order. You don't want to put the dust down and then wet it down when you're pouring on fertilizer or spraying. So do the sprays and the feeding first. When the leaves are dry, put down your dust in the evening.
And I know for me, the spider mites really come out in the hot, dry weather.
Yeah.
So probably when we get back home, it's going to start getting into the 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to be sticking to a better routine this year with my cucumbers. Like you were saying, you got to do it on a routine.
It's the routine. So we spray. Right. And now this is not going to harm bees, even if you spray the bees. There's a little bit of soap on there, but it's not going to matter that much. So you soak the undersides down, you soak the top side down. You could do this really 2 or 3 times a week if you want, if you really have a problem. It doesn't necessarily kill the spider mites, but it irritates them and it repels them, and it really can manage the damage that they do.
And it smells amazing too.
It does. It smells so good.
So good.
It makes the garden smell wonderful.
Yeah, it does.
It'll also, with that smell that we are smelling right now, It masks the scent of the cucumber, of your squash plants, of your zucchinis from bad insects. So when they're flying around, they can't smell the damaged leaf, because if you break this, it smells like cucumbers. You know, if you ever break, or when you're picking your cucumbers. So the peppermint oil masks the spray. The bad bugs may fly by. You may save yourself a headache.
And the other thing that's super important is to do it before the problem occurs.
Right.
So I know for me, I've gotten some spider infested plants before, and they're really, really hard to get rid of.
Right.
So definitely spray on a preventative basis. That's a whole lot easier than going back and then taking care of the problem after you have an infestation.
Right. Stick to the routine.
Right.
So these cucumbers aren't developing yet. They're going to start producing. I want to take you over to the other plants that have been producing and talk about a tip that helps you grow through the summer.
2, 1, action. Now we harvested a whole bunch of cucumbers from this plant the other day. These have been in here for several months now, right, Gary?
Yeah, it's going into probably the 8th week.
So they're going into like a second round of production. They've got a lot of new cucumbers coming on.
Yep.
So I do want to make sure that these get really good to soak down with peppermint oil to keep the spider mites and any bugs away that might come down or might come around. Very important, you want to make sure that you're shaking up your peppermint oil, because remember it has soap in here. You want to make sure it's all dispersed evenly. And also super important that you do a test spray to your plants before you spray down all of them. So what I like to recommend is spraying just 1 or 2 leaves, waiting 48 hours to make sure there's no damage.
Right.
And then if there is damage, you want to make sure you're adjusting the amount of oil and soap that you have in here to you know, just to make sure you're not getting damaged.
So they don't damage. And I
Right.
highly recommend that too. Peppermint oil is pretty safe because we're just using a teaspoon, but I agree 100%, and that's what I write in every comment. That just because you see us come up with a neem oil recipe or a baking soda recipe, test spray, because different variables going on in your zone or with the weather can cause damage. And a cucumber leaf is a little bit stronger than maybe, say, lettuce, and a tomato leaf can take something more than this can. So you have to really test out the sprays.
And then depending on the soap that you're using too makes a difference.
Right. This is one of the most mild soaps. But if you're using something that's more of a detergent, you want less soap and you want to check it out.
So once I'm just spraying the top and the bottoms, the leaves are kind of dripping wet here.
Yeah. It smells so good.
It does smell great.
Yeah, I don't mind it's getting on me at all. It'll smell fresh. So once a plant has been producing for a while, and you can see all up here, really, I don't know if you can get this back over here, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cucumbers growing right in this space. And this plant is doing well. So this is about probably 3 weeks in the cucumbers that we just went to. They would get the same exact feeding, very similar to what we were talking about. So again, whatever your routine is, you want to hit your cucumbers when they were the size we just showed you. And after they've been producing for a while, hit them again with your feedings and just stick to that routine.
That's right. You want to keep them continually producing because they're heavy feeders. They're producing a lot of vegetables, and we don't want to have, and we'll have some little breaks in the production, but you definitely want to have a second round of vegetables coming on.
And when they're this big, actually, I don't have any, but any granular organic fertilizer, whatever the numbers are, it could be, I always say a 555, but it's fine if it's a 472, a 733, it doesn't matter. Grab a couple tablespoonfuls, that's about my handful, and sprinkle it around the base of the plant. When it rains or you water it in, that will go to the plant. The water soluble will take care of it right away. The granular stuff will take care of it over a couple of weeks. Sometimes your cucumbers at this size are getting beat up. They've been producing. That's when I recommend at about this period when you've harvested, more are coming, drop a couple of seeds into a cup or a container, at least this size. After they germinate, about, 14 to 21 days after they germinate, you want to get them into the ground because the smaller plants will quickly catch up to this, start to produce as this one might start to die out. And it's better to have something new growing than to battle with a plant that's starting to die out. And I know you do it a little differently in California.
Yeah, well, we pretty much plant cucumbers all season long. So what I like to do is drop some into the peat pellets or the little cups like that, or the little seed cells. And then I like to get them growing in the house under grow lights because I don't have a lot of extra space in my garden to drop in seeds. And that way just gets them off to a really fast start, and within 2 to 3 weeks, you've got new cucumber seedlings to put into the garden. However, don't forget to transition your plants from the indoors to the outdoors or harden them off before you get them in the garden.
Before you get it there.
No matter what.
And because it's 90 degrees, really sunny, really hot, I have actually a grow station. These go under the shade, so they get a couple hours of light in the morning till they germinate, and I protect them that way. Yours are indoors, they're protected, transition them out.
Right.
You don't want this sitting outside the whole day. It's going to bake, it's going to dry out, and the plants aren't going to produce. But this is the way that I take care of my cucumber plants.
One other little tip too, now here you don't really have to worry about watering because you have so much rain.
Right.
But in California, where we're not getting any rain right now, you really don't want your cucumber plants to dry out and get stressed when they're flowering and fruiting, like at the stage this one is here, right here. There's tons of flowers, tons of fruit. If you forget to water or your plants dry out, then it's going to stop producing. So it really needs that regular watering so the roots don't get stressed, and so you don't produce, so the plant doesn't grow cucumbers that are bitter. You'll have a lot less chance of bitter cucumbers if you keep them well watered.
Keep it even.
Even watering, right?
Yep. And I want to say, of course, thanks for watching. And the biggest tip I want you to take away from here is stick to a routine.
That's right. Gary and I are having a ton of fun doing these videos together. Really appreciate you guys watching. Let us know if you have any other cucumber tips you'd like to apply in your garden. We'd love to hear about it.
Thanks for watching.
See you on the next video. Hi, everyone.
I didn't thought you could say more.
Huh?
No, I'm not going to laugh. I thought you were going to say more.
Okay. I'll go hi, everyone, then you go welcome the rest of the
Okay.
garden. Okay. 3, 2, 1, action. Now, Gary and I are really having a lot of fun doing these videos together, so comment below, let us know what you learned from this video. If you have any cucumber tips that you like to apply in your garden, we would love to hear about it.